Hello, guys. What's going on? Welcome to another mini podcast or whatever you want to call it. Today I'm here with Brandon again, and we're going to go over our top 10 players from Week 7. So far, we haven't seen Monday Night Football yet, but we just each made a list of our top 10 players. These are just our opinions. We're going to go over them. Starting with number 10. I'm going to say my number 10. He's going to say his. So today, my number 10 is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie of the Giants. He had a pretty good game. He had 2 picks, picked off Case Keenum twice. One of them was really stupid, but I have him at number 10, and that's why.
All right, at number 10, I have another corner. I have Malcolm Butler. He was playing against Pittsburgh, and obviously Landon Collins isn't that great, but obviously Antonio Brown is one of the best receivers. He was able to cover him and get a couple of good pass deflections and also added a pick to his stat sheet.
That's pretty good. I actually didn't think of Malcolm Butler, but number 9, I have Chandler Jones, the Cardinals defensive end, because he was really part of the defense that held Seattle to 6 points. He had a sack. He had a few quarterback hits, and he was just a very good pass rusher that whole game. And that was a pretty stupid game, by the way, but we'll talk about that in the recaps we'll do tomorrow. And what's your number 9?
My number 9, I have Phillip Rivers. He only had 1 touchdown, but he had 371 yards passing, which obviously helped them get good field position. And especially late in the game when they were down, they came back and destroyed the Falcons 33-30.
That's actually pretty good. Number 8, I have another quarterback. I have Aaron Rodgers because he had a pretty good bounce-back game after having a really bad game against the Cowboys. He completed 70% of his passes, had over 300 yards for the first time in a while, and had 3 touchdowns. And it looks like he's finally getting back on track. His yards per attempt is very low still. He had to throw 56 passes. But he still had a pretty good game, and they put up 27 points.
That's actually pretty good. I have him on my list, but not the number 8 position. At number 8, I have Mike Wallace, the receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. In a losing effort, he put up 10 receptions for 120 yards, which is pretty good for a wide receiver. He has a lot of speed. Pretty good.
Yeah, okay. Then at number 7, I have Le'Veon Bell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 140 total yards. He had 80 rushing and 60 receiving. He didn't have a touchdown, but what makes it so great is he did it against New England's defense, and they are really good at stopping the run usually because they don't let runs get to the outside. And he really just carried the Steelers' offense that whole game. And that's why I have him at number 7. But what's yours?
My number 7 is another quarterback. It's Drew Brees. In a losing effort, he put up 367 yards for 3 touchdowns. And he's not the reason they lost that game.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, so for my next one, number 6 for me, I have Gronk. Rob Gronkowski. He had 90 yards and a touchdown, and he had one beautiful just bomb from Brady, and that was really the pass that sealed the game for him, and it basically made him win the game. And he was a huge part of their offense that whole game. He allowed the defense to spread the field and allowed Brady to get short passes to his receivers, Edelman and stuff, and yeah. I just have Gronk at number 6 because he played pretty good as usual.
At my number 6, I kind of forgot about Gronk to say that, but for my number 6, I have Michael Crabtree. He had 8 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown, but one of those catches was a 56-yard bomb.
Oh, yep. I saw that.
Which actually kind of, I wouldn't say it sealed the game because they kind of won convincingly,
it was
but
the biggest play of the game for sure.
And it kind of put it to a point where, the other team could not come back, take the game back.
Yeah, and that was at the end of the half, too. I don't know how he got that open, but number 5, I have Jacquizz Rodgers of the Buccaneers. He had, I think, 140-something yards rushing against the 49ers defense.
154.
Oh, yeah, 154 yards. The Buccaneers just ran all over the 49ers. They have probably the worst run defense in the NFL. And Jacquizz Rodgers, in place of Doug Martin's been playing pretty good lately. But that's why I have him all the way up at number 5, because it was a good week for him. And what's yours?
I have another Rodgers at number 5. I have Aaron Rodgers. I think, obviously you can say it's against the Bears, throwing 3 touchdowns. But it's a bounce-back week on a season that he's not performing very well in, kind of showing some age a little bit.
Yeah.
But 3 touchdowns on prime time against Brian Hoyer's Bears, even though he got injured. Pretty good performance.
Yeah, and his receivers couldn't even get open that whole game, so that was a good performance by him. Then for me, number 4, I have Landon Collins of the New York Giants. He had 2 picks this week against Case Keenum, but one of them was a pick 6 that was really amazing. Kind of reminded me of James Harrison's pick 6 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because obviously you were old enough to watch that.
Dude, I was like
3.
I was like 9.
It was 2008. You were not, whatever.
Oh wait, so I was
not 9.
So I was 8 or 7. All right, whatever. Yeah. I got Landon Collins.
All right, number 4. I have Jacquizz Rodgers, 26 attempts for 154 yards. Obviously, it takes a lot, especially when they have 2 other running backs, Buccaneers. Obviously, Doug Martin's not performing well this year, but Charles Sims is really their
Doug Martin's
main,
injured.
That's what. Whatever. But Charles Sims is mainly their kind of go-to guy when Doug Martin isn't there. But the fact that Jacquizz Rodgers could actually kind of destroy some kids, pretty good.
Yep. All right, number 3, I got Julio Jones, who had, to his standards, probably a pretty average week, just having casual 170-yard day. But he really could have won the game for him. There was a pass interference on him that wasn't called, which kind of reminds me of last week, but he had a lot of big catches, especially early on in the game, that allowed the Falcons to get off to an early start. And that's why I have him at number 3.
I actually kind of forgot about Julio, but my number 3 is Andrew Luck. He threw for 353 yards and 3 touchdowns, which earned him a Team of the Week card in Madden Mobile, so pretty good.
All right, my number 2 is Andrew Luck, just like you just said. He played really great against the Titans. The offensive line actually somewhat did its job for once. He had a beautiful pass. He had a beautiful bomb to T.Y. Hilton for a touchdown in that game. And that's why I have him at number 2.
My number 2, I have Landon Collins, and it would have been lower on the list like you had him. I think, what was it, number 5?
I had him at 4.
4. But since it was such a close game, that really was just a touchdown game. I have to bump him up to number 2 because of that amazing pick 6, which kind of started the comeback for the Giants. So that's why I have him at number 2.
That's true. That was their first points of the game. And then at number 1, I obviously have Jay Ajayi. He had over 200 yards and, 2 touchdowns against
something like that.
The Bills' defense. Second straight game he's had 200 yards. Only 3 other running backs in the history of the NFL have done that. As being O.J. Simpson, Earl Campbell, and Ricky Williams, who was also a Dolphin. But to have 200 yards in each of the first 2 games that you get a lot of carries, that's pretty amazing.
At number 1, I don't think this is a surprise. I also have Jay Ajayi. Just to back up what you said, 214 yards on, not like, Matt Forte had 100 yards on 30 carries.
Yeah.
Jay Ajayi is getting over double that on not even close to, close to 30, but definitely not 30. You're right. The only there's only been 3 other running backs to ever do that, and 2 of those guys, Earl Campbell and O.J. Simpson, are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which means J.J. has a pretty good chance of going to the Hall of Fame now.
Yep, after 2 games. All right, so now I have some honorable mentions. I have David Johnson, who had 140 yards rushing against the Seattle Seahawks defense. He was basically the entire Cardinals offense that game, and it was the reason why they pretty much dominated the first 3 quarters, although the scoreboard didn't look like it. He had like 41 carries for 140 yards. And then my other honorable mention is A.J. Green, who had an incredible Hail Mary catch. He had 170 yards. Most of them were in the first half. And he had 2 insane catches in that game. But it was against the Browns defense, which isn't very good, so I didn't put him on my list. I just put him as an honorable mention. And, yeah.
I have a couple honorable mentions as well. I have Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. I will put him on the list, except that his picks kind of came... I'm not in garbage time, because obviously the Rams could have came back, but both in the end zone, both saving touchdowns, just nothing spectacular like a pick 6. When it's not like he's covering, Odell or Julio. He's covering who do the Rams have? Like Brian Quick and Kenny Britt. So like and obviously I know Case Keenum. I would not be surprised if he comes back and has like 400-yard game just from this because he bounces back easily.
Yeah, that's okay.
And my other honorable mention would have to be, I guess we can go Julio, like you said earlier, having over 100. What is it, over 150 again?
170, I think. Pretty sure.
I mean, that's some stupid stuff. I mean, he's gonna break like every record. Everyone's like coming in the season
pace thinking. He has over 800 already.
I mean, everyone came in the season thinking Antonio Brown's gonna get the receptions record, which is another conversation because nowadays when you throw the ball, it's like a 1-yard screen pass that like a 4-year-old could catch. So it's not even. It doesn't even count. Like that.
Yeah, all the catches Julio catches are like bombs, and they're like aggressive catching.
Catch. And then Antonio Brown over here catching the screens and going like 5 yards, and then he has to get like 20 receptions. Well, I mean, that's what makes me mad. He gets like 20 receptions, 150 yards, 1 touchdown. Well, it's like no dip. All he does is catch screens.
Yeah,
he's only like 5'10".
A lot of wide receivers played really great. A lot of defensive players as well. There's Cliff Averill, Deion Buchanan, Fletcher Cox. There's all sorts of guys that played great today, but those are our top 10 players of the week. And we're going to see you guys next time.
All right. Woo!
Yeah, bye.